Good morning, everyone. It's 7 o'clock on the morning of Wednesday, the 21st of December. Read an article this morning in The Guardian that says the most expensive street in the UK is in London. No great surprise there. But apparently that street is Phillimore Gardens in Kensington, W8. So I thought, before it gets light, let's go and have a look. In fact, it's not ostentatious at all, but I guess that's the key distinction between being rich and being wealthy. This one's very, very, very nicely done. Beautiful, understated, simple, elegant, wonderful colouring. Morning. That's another one that was pretty well done, actually. Understated. Yeah. Morning. Yeah, very pretty, especially against the morning sky. Oh, this one's a Bentley, actually. Number plate found, very nice. Just admiring your car, lovely. This was very nice. Perfect sized front of parking for your Ferrari. It's very grand, in fact. I need to go all the way back to the other side of the street to even fit it in the frame. It's absolutely enormous. Oops, I'll try and get back without falling over. There we are. I think that probably is the largest individual residence I've seen on this street anyway. If we turn left, it takes us down this little teeny street. Which leads directly into Holland Park. There we have it. Good morning, everyone. It's 7 o'clock on the morning of Wednesday, the 21st of December. Read an article this morning in The Guardian that says the most expensive street in the UK is in London. No great surprise there. But apparently that street is Phillimore Gardens in Kensington, W8. So I thought, before it gets light, let's go and have a look. Quiet as it may seem at the south end, Phillimore Gardens is literally just off of High Street, Kensington, which is very, very, very busy indeed, as you can see. I guess one huge benefit actually of living here, not that anyone who's living on the most expensive street in the UK probably needs it, could be the longest and most perfectly populated Santander cycle station in the whole of London. Look at them all. Okay, unsurprisingly enough, as is typical in fact with most of the properties in this area, there are very few lights on. Very few lights on. Some very cute houses on this side. very surprising thing given how expensive houses are on the street. According to the story, somewhere between 20 and 30 million, but a lot more for the most expensive, is that it isn't particularly ostentatious. In fact, it's not ostentatious at all, but I guess that's the key distinction between being rich and being wealthy. This one's very, very, very nicely done. Beautiful, understated, simple, elegant, wonderful colouring. Morning. I guess that was the staff dropping the morning newspapers around. Tradesman's entrance at the back. Perhaps the most predictable thing one sees on these streets is that an enormous renovation project, which, given the story, is probably perfectly timed, as I dare say that's added a couple of £1 million to the value of that property alone. It's rather nice, a huge villa, probably something like, I think probably 8 bedrooms as a minimum, a total of potentially 24 rooms in the property in total. It's rather nice. Another one on the corner, also completely boarded round, Wimbledon style. But there are, surprisingly actually, especially when you compare it to Knightsbridge and certain parts of Chelsea, a few lights on. Some people are at home. It's not completely dead and deserted. Interesting Rolls Royce. TSB1. Apologies, the lighting is bad. These streets always have mediocre lighting, but it's the best we can do, street lighting. Not yet seeing any private security guard. These streets typically have a chap sitting in a car, like private security, that the residents often collaborate together to pay for. That's another one that was pretty well done actually. Understated. Yeah. Morning. Yeah, very pretty, especially against the morning sky. Oh, this one's a Bentley actually. Number plate found, very nice. Just admiring your car, lovely. So continue up the street. It wasn't his car, by the way. He's a driver, but otherwise he wouldn't be giving it a polish at 7 a.m. Yeah, I mean the street is pretty. Can't deny it. I guess it could be that, unlike a lot of the properties in this area, many have not been destroyed, whatever you want to call it, converted into HMOs. That's a building with multiple occupants, a series of flats. Okay, this one's curious. Some decorations, so someone's at home. Very nice. Detached villa with off-street parking for, it appears, a London taxi driver. Wow, he must be doing pretty well, whoever's driving this taxi. Oh, the lights come on, wanting me to get away. Okay, don't worry guys, I'm going. But yeah, very nice. And there it is, literally. So I'm not sure if it's a licensed taxi or whether or not it's somebody that bought a taxi to drive around anonymously. Could be that. Other side of the street. Actually, I think I probably did speak a little bit too soon at the southern end about the cars. We saw that there was the Rolls Royce, and then there was a chap polishing the Bentley. Here we've got a nice little Porsche. Outside, another wonderful villa. Beautiful. Very nice. Charging points for electric vehicles everywhere, in fact, along this street. I think that's probably the best thing about this borough. The council are pretty well off, so they don't charge very much council tax. Bizarrely enough. You'd think that they would, in fact. You think the more expensive the area, the higher the council tax. But it's one of the peculiarities of British planning law that it doesn't happen that way, unfortunately. This one is also very nice, number 35. Very simple. Beautiful. Very subtly decorated. With a simple Santa and some lights in the window. I guess when your house screams, hey, I'm worth 25, 30, 50, whatever million pounds, you don't really need to worry about showing off with a bunch of ostentatious decorations. Here's another one with the gate welcomely open. Before you get excited, no, I'm not going in. Yeah, very nice. Beautiful. But, and I guess that's the key at this end, I'm guessing this is the more expensive end of the road. I don't know, but I'm guessing it is. It's obviously considerably quieter now we're closer to the north end than the south end, which is, as I mentioned, adjoining to High Street Kensington. Another enormous one here. But sadly, for residents that live here, or luckily for whoever is developing it, this one's going to take a hell of a lot of work. It's enormous. In fact, this might be one of the biggest houses on the street, but it does look like one of the oldest. This is number 39. Phillimore Gardens. Yeah, goodness me, what a shame. Look at that. Let's hope it stays as one single house. I mean, it really is giant. Beautiful. So I guess either they didn't think to high security here, they didn't need security here, or the security guy is asleep. Most of the streets that lead off, the side streets, they're not all Phillimore streets. This one, though, for example, is. This is Upper Phillimore Gardens. They also look very nice, but again, look, this side on the left, enormous enormous renovation project, and same on the other side, another, look at that, absolutely enormous renovation project. Goodness me, imagine living there. Both properties facing one another on the street are being renovated. Pity. Okay, on we go. Back over to the west side. This is very, very nice too. Beautiful trees, in fact, they've planted, which provide a natural barrier. Nobody can see in. Very nice. Oh, there's like a little light garden down here as well. Look at this. Cute. The house itself looks wonderful. Goodness, look. So many natural features. This one is probably the nicest looking one on the street so far, I would say. Yeah. Very, very, very nice indeed. Beautiful. And absolutely wonderfully quiet. despite the fact that, as you saw at the other end, southern end, things are very much alive. We're now just a minute or two from the north end of the road, and that's where it's, I guess, that's where the value in many respects comes from, because of the fact that I'm being watched as a woman sitting in her drawing room watching me. What is he doing on my street? So the northern end, the value there is clear, unlike the southern end, which is on a very noisy street. And the northern end, as we'll discover in just a few minutes, is fortunate enough to have direct access pretty much into Holland Park, one of London's best parks, actually. Another beautiful house on the other side. All the super pretty ones are definitely on the western side of the street. And last but not least, considering that pretty much the rest of the street is undergoing renovation, is number 34 on the eastern side. Again, very large, beautiful house. 5 or 6 stories. Lots of very old trees. Actually quite an elegant street. And the last property that's on the eastern side of the street is another grand villa, number 36. So yeah, that's the end for the eastern side. On the western side, 2 are still under construction renovation, covered in tarpaulins. Yeah, this one's been completely gutted by the looks of it. Again, an enormous property. It looks like it's even, in fact, 7 stories. And then right next to it, another one that looks even larger. I assume it's one property. It could well be 2 or 3. And the tarpaulin is so large it looks like it could be on the front of a department store. It's vast. So that takes us to the northern end, just as the light is improving somewhat. As we look south towards High Street Ken, the sun is just coming up. That one is absolutely enormous. Unfortunately, no one lives directly opposite. Somebody else's garden, so that isn't, I guess, a concern. But gosh, that's going to be a beautiful family home for some lucky billionaire, I guess. Okay, so only going to go along here a little bit. I know the street very well. This is Duchess of Bedford's Walk. It's a curious one, actually, this street. Most of the buildings are old mansion blocks that have been here forever, pretty much. But they built a new one at the end of the street not that long ago. So we'll go to the end of Duchess of Bedford's Walk, and we'll scale back down one of the Phillimore streets to the private entrance to the park. I mean, it's not really private. I mean, it's private in the sense that you wouldn't know it's there unless you lived here, but it's publicly accessible. Yeah, these buildings are very nice. This is Campden Hill Gate. Huge benefits of these buildings are porter concierge. But then again, I guess if you have one of those large villas, a freestanding detached villa, you don't need to worry about porter service. You've probably got a housemaid or a housekeeper and or a driver, etc., etc. Yeah, it's very, other than the seagulls. Goodness knows why we have seagulls. We're nowhere near the sea. It's wonderfully quiet. Very nice too, this one. I don't know the name of this building actually, but it's got considerable off-street parking, barriered, so private and secure. No need to waste your time with a residence parking permit. Permit holders only. What a surprise. Okay, so this enormous building, luckily and very thoughtfully, has its name on the side. Twice, in fact. Duchess of Bedford House, apparently. There we are, plaque. And some enormous wooden sign that somebody decided to fix to the wall. Peculiar choice. Okay, so on the left is the new building, which was so well done. It doesn't actually look out of place at all. In fact, it's beautifully done. It's actually superior to the originals. Yeah. Private entrance to the underground parking garage. It's a beautiful building. Although arguably a teeny weeny bit, just like everything at this end of the Phillimore estate, a teeny weeny bit removed from the shops. Okay, I mean it's less than a 10-minute walk, but I guess that's the trade you make between living on High Street Ken, having all the shops on your doorstep, and living nearby but having peace and quiet. But yeah, this building in fact is also well known because not only is it the newest on the street, but as well as the underground parking, etc., etc. It has a large private swimming pool for residents, which in this part of London, I think, at least to the best of my knowledge right now, is unique. I can't think of another building that I know of, certainly in W8, that has a private pool. But yeah, this is beautiful building. I would definitely not complain were I to live here. It's actually called Academy Gardens. There it is on the wall. Yeah, Academy Gardens. And they really did make a great job. I'm not sure it's in use, but there's a very cute little gatehouse either side of the main gate, and there's beautiful black wrought iron gates. Very nice. Okay, so that's Duchess of Bedford Walk. As we get to the end, the building over on the right hand side, in fact probably the largest building in W8, is not somebody's house. It's the town hall. But the building on the left, people have already had their Christmas. It's done. So either they didn't like the tree, they bought another one and binned this one, or they found a better one. Very thoughtful. They've even put a public bench here so you can sit and admire the the fine architecture on Duchess of Bedford's Walk. In fact, one thing that is quite surprising is that the lighting, very subtle. Yeah, quite grand. The other buildings, this one in front directly is Campden Hill Court, and this road leads directly up to Notting Hill in the north and back down to High Street Lane in the south. This building is well known, been filmed by vloggers for an awfully long time. So if we head back down to the street that immediately runs parallel south of Duchess of Bedford's Walk, that'll take us back toward Phillimore. Yeah, this is Upper Phillimore Gardens, which we pass at the other end. Even more renovation projects. Not only those two enormous projects at the western end. Here we are at the eastern end, and there's yet another one. Gosh, very cute house this side. Very pretty. Thankfully now the light is a lot better. And how disappointed would you be were you the owner of the rather grand number 3? Here we are, number 3. Look at this. Spectacular property. Other than the immediate neighbour, which as you can see is now an enormous building site. Goodness, what a pity. Yeah, it's a problem in central London. In fact, even enormous wealth can't shield you from exceedingly unpleasant neighbours that can't but help develop their property, dig down to increase it by a little bit of value, and probably never live there again. This one going to the south, not particularly important. This is Argyle Road. Again, a very nice street. Houses are far smaller here, but nevertheless it's pretty. Okay, so heading back toward the eastern end. Getting some odd looks from people on the street, but hey, who cares? The very grand villa. Hedges properly trimmed, as one would expect, no less. Very finely trimmed, goodness. If only my barber did such a good job with my head. Here we are, number 11. Also super nice. Those external lamps. Wonderful. This one looks like it's an embassy building, but the flag is furled, so I can't see which embassy it is. In fact, yes, it's definitely an embassy building. 2 reasons why. You can see on the sign. I'm not sure if you can see that on the sign there. Diplomatic cars only. More importantly, the car itself is a diplomatic vehicle. How do we know that? Because in the middle we have a D, diplomatic. Okay, I still can't see which country it is with the flag being furled. If anyone can work out which colours we've got on the flag. Bizarre enough, yeah, there's no plug, there's no nameplate actually, which is peculiar for an embassy. Anyway, no idea. Lots of builders sitting in their vans, obviously waiting for the moment they can all run onto site and start working, because it's now 7:30ish, and they're not allowed to start. Well, officially, they're not allowed to start working until 9 a.m. I think 8:30 or 9 a.m. because of the local planning laws, and obviously it's not exactly fair to neighbours if somebody is banging around next door, drilling down an hour like this. Actually, quite a scarcity of decorations, considering that it's a matter of days until Christmas. This was very nice. Perfect sized front of parking for your Ferrari. Yeah, lovely. It's interesting actually how the architecture differs from property to property, considering that they're all on the same street, but vast differences. This one is, I think, unique. I haven't seen another one like this with those shuttered windows. It's very grand. In fact, I need to go all the way back to the other side of the street to even fit it in the frame. It's absolutely enormous. Oops, I'll try and get back without falling over. There we are. I think that probably is the largest individual residence I've seen on this street anyway. Yeah, very grand. And then behind me, as I just noticed, is another one with some very cute decorations. Look. Very cute, very understated. Another one here, very nicely decorated. There's simple garlands on the door. Okay, so we're back at the eastern end where those two enormous developments are taking place. You can see from the other side, even though they try and sort of minimise it with fancy boarding outside, it really can't disguise the fact that that's a huge project. Just like the one on the other side of the street, that's going to take many, many months, if not years. As these things often do when they dig down and discover all sorts of curiosities once the work begins. Okay, so almost back at the end of the road, which will take us back onto Phillimore Main. It's the last one on the corner here. Also beautifully presented. Fantastic. Perfectly manicured corner lawn. Look at this. Charming. That's the end of Upper Phillimore, which takes us back onto Phillimore Main. And now that the light has improved considerably, we've got this amazing, I don't know if you can make it out there in the picture, amazing sky. Beautiful. And how appropriate. You know, back to where we began, so let's quickly go back up to the northern end of Phillimore, because you're probably still wondering, hold on a second. Yes, the house is rather nice. It's in the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea. But how does it cost that much? I mean, what's the fundamental reason that it's so expensive? I mean, yes, there's a scarcity factor, and the Phillimore estate has been here for some time, but as mentioned, it's what's behind, running parallel to this street that gives it a great deal of value, and also makes it quite unique, I would say, at least that I'm aware of, in this part of London. The only street I would say is comparable is probably Kensington Palace Gardens, because that runs parallel to Hyde Park and Kensington Palace. Okay, so here we are. Anyway, so we're back at the top, the northern end of Phillimore Gardens, Duchess of Bedford's Walk, which we already covered. But if we turn left, it takes us down this little teeny street, which leads directly into Holland Park. There we have it. On the walk, which goes up to Notting Hill. That's in another one of my videos. I'll walk along there during the night. And then the main access. Directly, quite literally directly, I mean it's momentarily, into Holland Park and all of its myriad wonders. So I mean, you really don't need a garden actually. In fact, you don't need anything if you live there, because not only have you got this enormous park, but you've also got it, if you can make it out on the far side of the sports field, several tennis courts. You've also got a Holland Park opera during the summer over here on the right hand side. So you just go all the way to Covent Garden if you feel like watching an opera. Quite busy, in fact, with dog walkers, especially given the time. But also, and this is the key, now that we're on the other side, the far west side, behind Phillimore, if we turn back, you can see the size of the renovation project that I passed there on the northern corner. But looking along, you really get more of an idea of how fortunate each of those properties are. Why? Because if you have one of the properties that's on the western side of Phillimore, then at the back you've got, at least during the winter when the trees are bare, unobstructed views, beautiful unobstructed views over Holland Park. Good luck finding anywhere else other than any roads adjoining Hyde Park where you're going to get such open space and unobstructed views for your money. It's a real shame that the camera probably isn't picking up the sky, because it is beautiful this morning. Also, as we get back to the southern end of Phillimore, the end that adjoins Kensington High Street, on the right-hand side, as we'll see in just a few moments, is one of London's newer museums. It's the Design Museum. And directly opposite, they're also rebuilding. In fact, they've rebuilt it from scratch. One of London's oldest Odeon cinemas. They completely removed the facade and they're reconstructing it, apparently brick by brick, to recreate it exactly as it looked, but with a much, obviously, more modern interior, as well as, I think, office space and some very, very, very expensive apartments above. So, yeah, the sports field is wonderful. Look at that. The sports field is enormous. Cricket pitches, tennis courts in the corner, picnic tables, and then the Design Museum. That's one of the buildings that comprises the Design Museum. Here on the right-hand side, as you can see, I've tended to focus on the right-hand side and neglected the left. But as we can now see all the way along the left here, all of those grand villas which run along Phillimore have these beautiful views, and they probably actually prefer living here in the winter, because right now, I mean, the trees are, especially after last week's great freeze, you can see the trees are literally bare. So the views are completely unobstructed, although I guess for the majority of the year, probably very, very much shielded. Yeah, so here we are, the Design Museum. Starting. Back at the south end, that's really where Phillimore finishes. So is it worth the money? I mean, I guess. I mean, it's not every street in any capital city where you can say that you've got a wonderful park, in fact a huge park, available within a few footsteps. You've got a leading museum, it's the Design Museum, closed unfortunately, although we can get in from the other side. And then once you get to the southern end of Holland Park, you see the gate there in the distance. Yes, it's a lot noisier, but my goodness, you've got every amenity on Kensington High Street, including, of course, a tube station. Yeah, the site is pretty pleasant to look at. It's pretty easy on the eye. Design Museum. This building, in fact, also part of the Design Museum, has, for a lucky few, some apartments on, I think, the upper 2 floors. So we've got one exit out of the park on this side for dog walkers and cyclists. And then here's the main gate, southern gate, which takes us out of Holland Park This gate's always closed, by the way. The side doors are open there. Takes us out of Holland Park and onto Kensington High Street. Very cute with the trees. Look at that. I must stop overusing the word cute, but I mean there's not really much more that can be said actually. Okay, so here we are. And that's it. The quiet serenity of the Phillimore estate, and Holland Park is gone. But as mentioned, here's the Design Museum. Incidentally, the main entrance onto the Design Museum is here on my right. So although this isn't a huge benefit per se, I mean I guess it's useful to have a museum next door in case one runs out of ideas and you've got guests. You can just say, hey guys, go to the museum, it's right next door. We are Design Museum, plus mandatory museum shop selling overpriced nonsense that no one really needs. And here, directly opposite, as I mentioned a little while back, is the cinema, which is being developed. Wait for the traffic to die down a little bit and we'll cross over. Just going to walk along to High Street Kent Station. Another well-known mansion block right next to the park, but not bordering the park. And this street, in fact, they only actually created the street precisely when they built the Design Museum and the residential building you can see in the distance. This street is called Holland Green Place, with the mandatory gales, obviously, on the corner. Building itself is called Melbury Court, so quite grand. Oh, finally, look, a break in the traffic. How fortunate. Right, so here we are, look, this huge development here in front of me is the old Odeon cinema, the Odeon Kensington, which they are completely rebuilding. And I'm sure they're going to make a wonderful development of it. But how fortunate. If you're happy to be lucky enough to live on the Phillimore estate, Holland Park Gate. So they're going to call it Holland Park Gate, apparently. Interesting seasonal lighting. Okay, so let's add it all up. Is it really worth it? Is it? Okay, so you've got a private park effectively next door. I mean, it's not private, it's publicly accessible, but it's as good as private, being so geographically close. And to be fair, Holland Park is massively underused compared to Hyde Park, which is at the other end, the eastern end of Kensington High Street. The grand building on the corner, also bordering Holland Park. So yeah, you've got a park, you've got the Design Museum, you are going to shortly have a brand new state-of-the-art cinema. As you can see from just a few minutes here, buses are everywhere if you need them. Also on the corner here, this large building is a supermarket, Waitrose supermarket. So you've got the park, you've got the museum, you've got the cinema forthcoming. You have an enormous Waitrose supermarket. You are roughly, I would say, I don't know, 5, depending on how fast you walk. Obviously Parisians will get there faster because they walk far faster than Londoners. You've got the entrance, or one of the entrances to Hyde Park. Here we are, there's Waitrose. Yeah, it's already open. Great. Yeah, so as I was saying, at the end, the other end, as we're walking now toward the east end of Kensington High Street, 5, 6, 7 minutes walk to Hyde Park. But I guess if you live at this end, much easier to just use the local park. The building's quite grand actually. Also, I think part of the reason that this area is very popular, I noticed a lot of Spanish speakers. In fact, to be honest, other than English, I would say the most popular languages heard on the street in this area are typically Spanish, Russian, and Arabic. And that could be explained by the fact that here, literally right next to the supermarket, and moments from Phillimore, is Catholic Church of Our Lady of Victories, Kensington. Which brings us back, dear viewer, to where we started. At the very southern end, there it is, of Phillimore Gardens. So we went in a rectangle, effectively. I was going to say a square, but it's really a rectangle. Up toward Holland Park, around, back down again. Yeah, it's a large rectangle. Obviously it's relatively quiet here, because it's still quite early, but this street is a main road from the centre of London, Knightsbridge, out toward West London and Heathrow Airport beyond. Seems there is a lot of development, in fact, going on, which I guess is a good thing if the area is seeing improvement. But it's obviously a very bad thing for anyone that is thinking of living or moving to live here, because the more that I was going to use the word gentrify, but I mean you can't really gentrify Kensington. I mean it's pretty much the epitome of gentrification already. It has been for more than 100 years, I would say. But yeah, dramatically improved. It's going to push up the prices to astronomical levels. So I guess perhaps Phillimore could be said, despite being the most expensive street in the UK, to still be relatively underpriced compared to what's to come. Actually, this is another very famous street, as I'll show you very quickly whilst we're here. This is Adam and Eve Mews, very popular filming location. I mean, it's very quaint, so it's hardly surprising. One of those beloved cobbled streets that you tend to find hidden away in this part of London. I mean, you actually wouldn't know it's here. You see, at this little entrance off the high street. Actually, yeah, another thing which is quite unusual, certainly for this area, simply because there isn't one in Knightsbridge, and there isn't one, as far as I'm aware, in Chelsea yet, is Amazon Fresh over on the corner. There are several Amazon Fresh shops in central London, but this one I think is, if not the newest, then one of the newest. I think it's been here for, give or take, 6 months. Future of the high street, I'm guessing, right there. Walk in, pick up whatever you want, having scanned your QR code, and then walk out. No tills, no payment methods, no delays. It's automatically built your Amazon account. I forget the name of this building actually. I think it's Hornsey Court, but I don't remember, so don't quote me on that. This building is rather famous. You see, it's a grand mansion block above the shops, above Amazon, Barclays Bank, Waterstones, blah 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 blah, Zara, Massimo Dutti, and it's quite well known because, no, it didn't win Christmas Decorations of the Year award 2022. It's quite well known because, I'm not sure if you can make it out, but that enclosed space, that semi-courtyard above the shops, is a private garden. And again, don't quote me on this, but as far as I'm aware, I think that is the only private garden, or rooftop private garden, let me clarify, in this district, in W8. If there's another one, then I'm not aware of it, so I guess that's a bonus. You can sit there in the private garden and enjoy the din of the traffic 24 hours a day. All of this is new, as you can see. They just finished building it. So an enormous amount of development has been going on along the high street. This entire development, shops, offices, etc., is brand new. And they even rather thoughtfully built a brand new entrance to the tube station. There it is, High Street Kensington Station. In fact, so new that all of the shops, in fact, well, most of the shops are still without occupiers. London is slowly waking up, as you can all see. Entrance to the tube station. But we're not going there. I've just noticed, actually, looking at the the time on the camera. This has been a single take, no cuts, no edits. This has been a single take from when I press record. We are literally 59, about to pass the 1 hour mark, so that's I would argue an appropriate point to finish the video. So there we are. That's the entrance out of the tube station onto Kensington High Street. As you can see now, it's getting pretty busy. In fact, also I forgot. In fact, there's over on the corner. I'm not sure if you can make it out. There's a large lorry parked, obscuring it. Just behind is the Ivy Kensington, and then behind that you've got St Mary Abbott's Church and one of London's most exclusive primary schools, very small state Church of England primary school called St Mary Abbott's. So all of these things together, I guess, the park, the amenities, the transport connections, the architecture, which of course is pretty inspiring in this area. Museum, park, architecture, schooling, amenities, shops, transport connections, proximity to Hyde Park, proximity to Knightsbridge, Chelsea, Earls Court, Notting Hill, and goodness me, pretty much anywhere actually. You could even get into central London. Marble Arch Oxford Circus is 20-30 minutes depending on the time of day. So all of those things combined, it's not really surprising that Phillimore Gardens is, according to The Guardian, The Telegraph and numerous other newspapers today, the most expensive street in the whole of the United Kingdom. Not just here in London, but in the whole of the United Kingdom. And at that moment, dear visitor, I'm going to end the video and get a coffee. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope you found this at least mildly informative. If there's any other areas you want to see or anything specific, mention in the comments and I'll do my very best to accommodate. But have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll be back soon. Bye bye.